G'day everyone, Rune here, and this is chapter 12 of my What If Naruto Was a Girl series. In the last chapter, we saw the confrontation between Orochimaru and our heroes consisting of Team 7, Jiraiya, and Tsunade. To quickly recap, after everyone had caught up in the one spot, Team 7 took on Kabuto in order to settle an old score from the Chunin exams, Jiraiya took on Orochimaru, and Tsunade was temporarily out of commission for the same reasons as in canon. During these battles, Sakura was temporarily taken out after Kabuto severed a tendon in her leg. Orochimaru finally got what he wanted and placed a curse mark on Sasuke, resulting in him being taken out of the fight completely. Then, in order to protect Sasuke from Kabuto, Naruto used a new style of Rasengan which combined both her and Kurama's chakra. Sakura then got her badass moment by protecting Naruto from Orochimaru. From there, the battle concluded the same way as in canon, and our heroes began to make their way back home. This is where the next chapter begins. At long last, Team 7, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune finally arrive in Konoha. To their surprise, waiting for them at the gate are Shikamaru, Ino, Hinata, and Haku. Smiling brightly, Naruto runs ahead of the group to greet them, giving Haku, Hinata, and Ino a hug each and giving Shikamaru a playful punch to the arm. As the rest of the returning party catch up, Sakura notices the thick pieces of cloth under Shikamaru's arm and asks what it is. Rolling his eyes, Shikamaru pulls out the cloth from under his arm and tosses one to each of Team 7, which are revealed to be 3 Chunin vests. He explains that it was decided that the finals wouldn't be continued after all. The results would be determined from what had already occurred. As such, with Sasuke and Sakura's display of ability due to taking down 2 Genin with twice their experience, and Naruto's preternatural talent for turning enemies into allies, all 3 of them were being promoted to Chunin. Now, I'm sure you're wondering if Shikamaru made Chunin. Well, no. In canon, Shikamaru won 1 round and forfeited the second, even though he'd basically won. Here, Shikamaru forfeited in the first round because he saw dealing with Shino's bugs as too much of a hassle. So I'm going to say that Shino got promoted instead since he won both of the matches. Before Team 7 can begin celebrating, however, Haku reminds them that they still have some business to take care of. With that gentle reminder, the 3 newly promoted Chunin drag an amused Tsunade to the hospital, followed closely by their welcoming party. Even a reluctant Shikamaru who is being dragged by Ino. While Team 7 catch up with their friends and bring them up to speed on everything that's happened, Tsunade checks on her patients. The first one they would check on is Kakashi, as he would be needed to seal Sasuke's curse mark. After that, she goes to check on Lee, and yeah, that hasn't changed. When Tsunade meets up with Team 7, she explains the situation in broad strokes. She then apologizes to Naruto that she may not be able to complete her end of the deal. Naruto tells her not to count Lee out just yet. The next day, Kakashi seals Sasuke's curse mark, resulting in Sasuke being unconscious for a few days, like in canon. When he's finally up and about again, Sakura says that they're all overdue for a celebration. They've just become Chunin and they haven't been able to celebrate properly because of everything going on. Naruto very enthusiastically agrees, while Sasuke just smiles and goes along with it. They agree to meet up at Ramen Ichiraku that night and continue on their day. That night, while Sasuke is on his way to Ramen Ichiraku, he is accosted by the Sound 4. More than a little annoyed at the holdup, he irritably asks who they are and what they want. After introducing themselves, the Sound 4 say that they're here to take him to Orochimaru. Sasuke's response? To give an irritated huff and try to walk around them. Yeah, no, not interested. Now piss off. Despite their shock at the outright refusal, the Sound 4 block his path again. Sakon asks when they ever said that it was his choice and is about to attack when Tayuya stops him. She tells Sasuke that Orochimaru can give him power. Enough power to kill Itachi. Again, the Sound 4 are at a loss when Sasuke turns them down. I made an oath of blood. I intend to keep it. Finally realizing that Sasuke isn't going to be swayed, the Sound 4 attack, intent on taking him by force. Knowing that he can't hold anything back for this one, Sasuke activates his Mangekyo. This allows him to dodge all of the Sound 4's attacks with relative ease. As he's only had the Mangekyo for a few days and hasn't had a chance to train it properly yet, he doesn't have a Matarasu or the Susanoo yet. So he's currently using the Mangekyo for the added maneuverability. This goes on for a while until a series of water senbone come flying at the Sound 4, forcing them to jump back into the blast range of a kunai embedded in the ground with an explosion tag. Now covered in dust, soot, and some minor burns, the Sound 4 look to the direction the attack had come from while Sasuke smirks. Posing dramatically on a nearby roof is Sakura holding another handful of water senbone and Naruto with another explosion kunai. Starting the party without us? That's not very nice, Sasuke. Not my fault you two are late. Jumping down to join Sasuke, the three teens prepare to fight. Now with all three of them, the fight is much easier. Not necessarily easy, but easier. With the various combo moves the three have at their disposal, they even manage to knock two of the Sound 4 out. Tayuya is knocked out with a Water Lightning Senbone combo, while Kidomaru is taken down by Sakura, sending her Water Senbone to vital nerves, similar to what Haku did to Sasuke. Since the Sound 4 are in Konoha, they can't fully activate their curse marks. I always got the feeling that Sakon activated his in canon to show off and make a point. He also didn't use it fully. I think this is because they were trying to avoid detection from the higher ranked ninjas, hence why they're not using it now. If they did, Team 7 would definitely lose. Anyway, realizing that they're not going to win without their curse marks, Jirobo and Sakon decide to cut their losses, leaving Tayuya and Kidomaru behind as they retreat. As they flee, Sasuke shouts at them to give Orochimaru a message. When the last of the Sound 4 report back to Orochimaru, they deliver Sasuke's message. If Orochimaru had really wanted Sasuke to join him, he really shouldn't have tried to kill his friends. Clearly, Orochimaru had underestimated Sasuke's loyalty and overestimated his drive to kill Itachi. Little does he know that Sasuke's to-kill list has shifted dramatically. Back with Team 7, they drag an unconscious Tayuya and Kidomaru to Kakashi, who takes them to be locked up. All throughout this, Naruto has not stopped grinning from Sasuke calling both her and Sakura his friends. Lamenting their ruined plans, Sakura suggests that they have a sleepover at Naruto's since it's the closest. Naruto happily agrees, and Sasuke goes with it because he realizes that he's never actually seen where Naruto lives. Upon arrival, Sasuke is immediately struck by how tiny the apartment is. Sure, it's only Naruto living there, but still, this was ridiculous. The next morning, they are woken up by a knock at the door. Still half asleep, Naruto answers it to see Hiruzen on the other side. Now wide awake, she invites him in and asks him why he's there so early. Hiruzen first commends the three teens for their capture of the Sound 4, explaining to them that their curse marks had been sealed and plans were being made on what to do with them. He then asks Sasuke and Sakura to wait in the hall so he can talk to Naruto privately, only for the blonde to tell him that she keeps no secrets from her team. Despite his hesitance, Hiruzen can't help but smile. It seems Kakashi and Jiraiya hadn't been exaggerating. He then tells the teens that he'd recently received a report from one of the village's undercover agents. The group that had attacked the teens on their search for Tsunade are called the Akatsuki. They're after the Jinchuriki, hoping to start another war. Upon hearing that the group are after all of the Jinchuriki, Naruto's mind immediately flashes to Gaara. She frantically asks Hiruzen if anyone has sent word to the Sand Village to warn them, and Hiruzen assures her that word was sent as soon as the report was made. As Naruto breathes a sigh of relief, Jiraiya walks in. He tells Naruto that starting today, she was going to be his apprentice officially. He then tells the teens of his plan to take Naruto on a 3 to 4 year training trip to try and get her to a place where she can protect herself from the Akatsuki. To his surprise, however, Naruto asks a completely random question about how many Jinchuriki there are. Not knowing how else to respond, he tells her that there are 9, including her. Naruto nods with a big smile. So that's just 7 more to warn. Understandably, Hiruzen and Jiraiya start trying to talk her out of this plan, as it would be painting a big target on her back. But Naruto is determined. She shoots back at the older men that this was not up for debate. If they refused to help, then she was just going to go warn them herself. These people were Jinchuriki just like her, and as far as she was concerned, that made them family. And she did not abandon family. She was not going to leave them to the wolves just so she could be relatively safe. And besides, if the Akatsuki were planning on starting another war, that meant that all of the nations were in trouble, not just theirs. The more Jinchuriki that knew to be on guard, the better. For a few moments, no one speaks. Hiruzen and Jiraiya really can't think of a comeback to that. Naruto did have a point, and both men were being distinctly reminded of Kushina. Sighing with a small smile, Hiruzen says that he'll start sending letters to the other nations to expect them. After the two men leave, Team 7 begins to talk about everything they've learnt and try to come up with plans for the last two members. Sakura is already Tsunade's new apprentice, so she'll probably focus on that while also learning as much as she can about Genjutsu. Sasuke, meanwhile, decides that he's going to learn as much as he can about his Sharingan while also training with Haku and Kakashi. A few days later, after Team 7, Team 8, and Team 10 had all attended a farewell party for Naruto that Ino had insisted on them throwing for her, they're all standing at the main gate in and out of Konoha along with Hiruzen, Konohamaru, and Haku. The little boy hugs Naruto tightly, telling her to be careful and to come back safe and sound. Ino and Hinata also give their longtime friend a hug and remind her to eat healthy and not slack off, which earns an eye roll from the blonde. Next are Kiba and Lee, who each get a fist bump. Then Shino and Neji each give her a handshake and wish her well on her trip. Choji hands her a small bag of snacks, telling her that she shouldn't forget to eat something tasty and not just healthy, earning a laugh at the dig at her two other friends. Haku pats her head and tells her to be safe and reminds her that if she ever gets in trouble, he's only a message away. Finally, she comes to Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura. Stepping forward, Naruto wraps her arms around all three of them as best she can. In a voice barely above a whisper, she thanks them for being her team, for always being there, and for having her back. The team hug for a few moments before they reluctantly pull away. As Naruto turns to pick up her pack, Jiraiya asks if she has everything. Quickly, Naruto checks that her omamori is safe around her neck, her hairpins are secure in her pigtails, and her new favorite pair of chopsticks is in her bag. Grinning, she nods to Jiraiya and they walk away from Konoha. Before it is completely out of sight, Naruto turns back one last time. I'll be home soon. I promise. And that, everyone, is where I'm going to leave the story for quite a while. Yeah, this story is going to be going on hiatus, and here's why. Reprint delays. While I do have the box set of the original Naruto series, I don't have any of Shippuden because Viz, the people that print the Naruto manga, had stopped printing the box sets for a god-awful long time. They're going to be back in stock on May 31st, but even after that, it'll still take a while for me to get them and read them so that I can continue the story. So until I can actually get the rest of the series, this story is going to need to be put on hold, as I am not going to be using wikis and fanworks as a reference. I learned my lesson on that one after What If Ash Met Me Up First. G'day everyone, Postscript Rune here. I forgot to put in the script itself that not only is this series going on hiatus, but all of my videos are going to be on a hiatus for the next 2 weeks. This is for 2 reasons. 1, it's school holidays. And 2, I'm running very behind on writing scripts for my other stories. And I need a few weeks to try and catch up. Hopefully by the end of school holidays, I'll have enough of a buffer zone so that I don't have to worry about this happening again for a while. I'm sorry it has to happen, but I'd rather do it now than later. With that all said, so until then, I'm Rune. See you in the next story.